Hello and welcome to another episode of 5 of the Week. We are a almost weekly discussion show concerning a select assortment of topics around the NCAA on the SBA forums. This week we got some fun little pro player to NCAA draftee, well, pro player to draftee comparisons. So we take a deep dive into 5 intriguing prospects in the upcoming entry draft and compare them to historical or contemporary SBA players and their skill sets together. I am, of course, joined once again by my trusted co-host, the Cryptic Pancake.
Hello, it's a Cryptic Pancake. I'm the athletic director for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and we are going to win the NCAA championship this year. Heard it here first.
Can you hear me shaking my head? On that note, I'm also should do my own introduction. My name's Okocha Star, and I'm the athletic director of the Gonzaga Bulldogs and the general manager of the last. Well, no, don't associate me with them any longer. Uh, Typically, we have a harder time catching some of our other temporary co-hosts, but this time we do have one in form of Robotastic. Hello and welcome.
Hi, it's Robotastic, the athletic director for the Indiana Hoosiers, who are probably not winning a national championship this season.
There's always nice pride in my ear. There's always next year. Don't you worry about it. Uh, our first player that we're gonna draw comparisons to will be the North Carolina Tar Heels power forward, Portuguese Neemias Jr., a senior year player for the Tar Heels, was part of their national championship win in whenever it was season. No, they didn't even win it. Finals run in season 37 against the Oregon Ducks. But now the sole uncappy after Anthony Diaz left the Tar Heels for the draft last season. So yeah, Neemias Jr. averaging 29.2 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 0.8 steals, and 1.6 blocks per game. Currently sitting at right about 290 TPE as we are currently in the second week of the league season. There have been some intriguing and trailblazing scoring big men in the SBA, but who would you draw the closest comparisons to for Neemias Jr.? And this one goes out to Robotastic. Now is the time for you.
I would probably compare him to a young Michael Scott. They both have the ability to score and score very well and at an efficient rate, and they're both leading their teams right now. I guess Michael Scott also has Lincoln Creek.
Yes, in the earlier years of Michael Scott's career, he definitely was a player of that mold, an inside scorer with not a lot of. I think Michael Scott had a 3-point shot from the get-go in the SBA, but as centers go, it's not that often used. And who knows, maybe Neemias Jr. develops one from here to next season. But Michael Scott's rookie year stat line was 22.5 points per game, 3.7 defensive rebounds. That adds up to 5.1 rebounds as a whole, 2 assists, 0.6 steals, so not a lot there, and then 0.7 blocks. So maybe not what Neemias Jr. should be expecting, but a similar impact to his pro team once he gets drafted in the next entry draft. Did you have any comments on this then, Pancake?
No, the Michael Scott seems like a good comparison. For like a younger comparison, someone like Austin Ronick could also be somewhat applicable. They both played majority of their time at the power forward, um, with Ronick also being able to play the small forward, that is, and therefore he had his TP and steals rather than block. But they were both the leading scorers on their team and also had an impact on defense. So I guess there's somewhat of a comparison there too.
Nice. All right. And then gauging the current landscape, around which position do you suppose, no lottery is done, no actual teams, but as a pure placement number, around where do you consider Nemias Jr. to be drafted in the next entry draft? Robo can go first.
Well, I'm not fully up to date with like all the uncapping players right now, but if I had to say, it's definitely top 5, maybe top 3 a pick.
Ooh, intriguing. It shows through that you are not up to date with all the uncapping players. But what about you, Pancake, for a more sophisticated answer?
Well, so as of right now, he is 8th in TPE earning for his class. So I'm saying he'll go, I don't know, between 6 and 10, depending on what team's picking, what that team needs. And yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with that too. There are some very intriguing prospects like Ragnar Lesnar, Clyde Alexander, Hercules Hoyle, and Matt Thomas, Eva Murillo. A lot of those people ahead of him in TP currently, but we can move on to a second player we'll focus on, which is Hiro Renomitsu of the Louisville Cardinals. Already a national champion at a young age, but now also uncapping this year and heading to the season for one SBA entry draft. Renomitsu has so far averaged in 30 minutes per competition 15 points, 7.5 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 2.4 steals, and 1.9 blocks. Renomitsu is eligible to play small forward or power forward, so threatening to be a fantastic all-around defender once he hits the SBA. With already 85 in steals and 85 in blocking, he gives the defensive identity to the reigning champions. So I can do my comparison thing, and if you guys have anything in mind, if you get any ideas of another comparable player, meanwhile you can go ahead and cook those up. But the player I'd pick would be Maurice Grouillon. Was it season 37 he retired? Just to make sure, because no, it might have been 38 because Steve-O entered the league the same time I did, so let's go ahead and see. So Gru spent his whole SBA career in Milwaukee as a mauler. In his best season he averaged 25.7 points, 9.7 rebounds, 10.5 assists, 2.1 steals, and 1 block per game. It has to be noted that Grouillon is 6'7" and mainly played small forward throughout his career, and Renomitsu is already being deployed at the 4 on the college level, and he's 6'9", so his block numbers might be a bit bumped by that fact, but as a rookie, Grouillon averaged 19.2 points per game, 6.6 rebounds per game, actually 6 assists per game, and then 1.6 steals and 1.2 blocks, so definitely had more depth to his game than just defense. He had the playmaking element as well, but it's always pretty tough to draw comparisons because inside the NCAA microcosm players tend to focus mainly on just 2 or 3 skills instead of 7 or 8 skills. What are your thoughts on this one? Are you familiar with Maurice Guyon, or was he was he getting old by the time you hit the league? I know for a fact he was getting old once I hit the league, because Steve-O, of course, recreated again by the time I was drafted, but you know.
Yeah, so I don't really remember Maurice Grillon. Literally, the only thing I know about him was that he was Steve-O's player before Cameron Millwall. Other than that, I know little to nothing about him. The way you described them, yeah, it sounds like they kind of fit, so works for me.
Yeah, the contemporary SBA player that first came to mind was obviously Magnum McCoy, but Magnum McCoy deployed as a shooting guard a lot, and that's already out of the realm for Renomitsu as a small forward / power forward. So yeah, not going to go that far. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what Renomitsu will be focusing on during the rest of this NCAA league year, but I'll be intrigued by his draft position and future in the pro league as a defense first player myself. The next player we'll compare would be the Connecticut Huskies point guard Ivan Kuroko. Joined late in season 38, only got to play 30 games, started all of those games, and will always be remembered by the streak he started to put on in his first sim, where he averaged like 11.8 assists right off the bat. But now he's uncapping, leading the Connecticut Huskies, who made the national championship game last season in a loss against the aforementioned Louisville Cardinals. Kuroko has added long-range shooting to his game. He's now shooting them 6.3 attempts per game at just over 40% accuracy. Is, as I mentioned, first was known as a pass-first guard. Averaged 7.6 assists in his short freshman year and has averaged 8.3 assists throughout his college career. But the comparison we're gonna draw is Abe Rosenthal, currently playing for the Chicago Nightmare, recently a SBA champion in Houston, and of course started his career out in Brooklyn. Well, it's pretty weird to compare Abe's rookie season stats because he only played 13.7 minutes per game off the bench, but as a pass first and with some shooting point guard, there's plenty of those to go around in the history of SBA. What are some other players you had in mind, Robotastic?
Other players that can pass.
Yeah,
Diego
SBA.
Rossi jumps to mind. He's a great passer. And he's also the runner of the Knights offense.
Yeah, what about Tony Marcedo?
I don't want to a disservice by comparing him to that player.
Yes, neither do I. That's why I steered away from it earlier. But yes, plenty of pass first point guards to go around. Danger Golding recently profiling more as a secondary scorer rather than a playmaker. With the power shift underwent in, is it New York now? Yeah, I was gonna say Los Angeles, but that's a whole other team.
You
And
say the rail, then you can't get it wrong.
yeah, with Jackson Sharp also joining the fray and Max Winchester developing, taking in leaps and bounds each year. Danger has a bit of a different role this time around. Jackson Sharp, or what? Who said it? I can't tell the listeners who said it, but someone said Koji Matsui as well. So we can. Koji Matsui started all of his rookie season games in Colorado, so we'll read off his stats rather than compare him to Rosenthal's bench numbers in Brooklyn. So Matsui 13.2 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, 7.7 assists per game, with 0.9 steals per game, so not quite the adept perimeter defender he later became in his career. Also shot the three-pointer 33.9% in his rookie year, which is slightly below average for a point guard, I'd imagine, but works as a baseline for Kuroko on what to expect going into the SBA. I now remember I forgot to ask about Renomitsu's draft positioning. Just to play with his feelings, we'll leave that in as is. So, what do you guys think about Kuroko's draft prospects? Top 5? Top 10? He is the only the best natural point guard, with Alexander and Lesnar being both freaks. But yeah,
I think he's gonna need to add another aspect to his game because right now, pretty much the only thing he can do is pass. He's not really a great scorer. He can't really rebound, and he can't defend at all. So I think top 10, maybe.
I think also he'll for sure go top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could see him adding to his defensive game. He can already shoot the three well. So adding to that defense or getting more of a shot inside, like athletically, so he can score more. That's how he should go forward.
I also I feel bad for Inomitsu, so I also think he's 5, probably top 4. I just wanted to throw that in real quick.
Thank the Lord for both processing and editing capabilities I hold. So yes, I also think Kuroko will be right about that top 10 level. If teams desperately need a point guard, I don't see why they couldn't use Lesnar or Alexander in that role as well. Even with the freak tax, both of those guys will get a shitload of carryover TP to account for that. But Kuroko is the third best point guard available in the draft class currently. So high hopes for him nonetheless. So speaking of Clyde Alexander, we can move on to our fourth player. I can read these stat lines for Clyde Alexander and then Pancake because it's his boy. I think Doc is his own boy, but
Yeah,
that's a discussion.
Doc used to be my idea, now I'm his.
Yeah. Virtually, Clyde Alexander is your boy, but your dog's boy. But yeah, this season Clyde Alexander has actually been a starter in all of his career years.
Yeah.
That
That rough 4.2 points.
yes, that freshman season, even with
I
the
mean, that was with
6.5
Joey and me chucking up everything.
yeah, but that's probably the reason why you were chucking up everything. Clyde Alexander getting 3.5 field goals attempts per game with 33 minutes played. Oh god, that must have been boring.
Yeah.
But this year, Alexander is averaging 13.7 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, 7.4 assists, 1.5 steals, and blocks. Also shooting the three ball with 37.3% accuracy on 5.6 attempts, going slightly down in attempts from last season, but efficiency went up, so the general uh, general weight of his shooting remains the same as last year. So what about Clyde Alexander then?
Okay, so Clyde Alexander, as you mentioned previously, he's a freak point guard. So he's standing at 6'8", which means that he has a lot of versatility. But because the whole freak system is still kind of new, the whole standard and freak builds haven't been that long yet. So finding like a direct comparison who point guard is kind of difficult. So the solution that I came to, like in terms of player comparison, is somewhat of a Tookie Lamont. Tookie, he's known for like all of the triple doubles that he has or that he got, including the infamous triple double season that wasn't really a triple double season if you're being anal about it. And yeah, so Toki is 6'7". He can rebound the ball, he can pass the ball, and he can score it, obviously. And that's also something that Clyde, well, at least not at the start, will be may also be able to do later on in his.
I messed up my hotkey to unmute my microphone, but yes, I duly agree with what you said. I'm not quite sure what you mean by a triple double season. I can't remember anything like that personally, but yeah, Tuki Lamont felt like a cop out, but then Pancake reminded me about Tuki only being 6 foot, well, only being 6'7", so actually being shorter than Clyde Alexander, who is a freak point guard. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me actually. And Tuki also, well, the triple double says it all, but was known for his passing throughout the prime of his career. And yeah, Tuki Lamont's rookie season in the SBA, although he only started 44 games, he played 34.8 minutes per game. So I think it's fair to look up these comparisons. 9.6 points per game, 7 point, is that 7? Yeah, 7.2 rebounds per game, 7 assists per game, and then 2.5 steals and 2.4 blocks. Don't know if he ever made a successful three-pointer in his career. Yes, 1 out of 39, of which I bet 39 are heaves. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Clyde Alexander already diversifying his game to beyond the three-point line. So, did Doc commit or like did Doc play in FIBA with Clyde Alexander?
Yeah, he's, I want to say, on Australia.
Yeah, Yeah, I think that's right. Tukilamont, of course, known as a Brazilian, so that's where the comparison stops. Who? Oh, I thought I was hearing things, but yeah, I actually heard things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Robo did the race.
Yeah. He said he was gonna be on for X amount of time until he needs to get ready, so blah blah blah. The final player comparison we have here is, wait for it, another one of your boys, Tuma Jakande, from the University of Notre Dame Fighting Irish, a junior year player. I remember it was one of the first big recruitment things you had to go through as an athletic director when Swafty was the after the notorious Mr. Splashman slash DD of Ice Reddit recruitment. Business wasn't really picking up on that front.
He was the first person I recruited, and I stole him away from Robo.
Yes.
Like, he had verbally committed to Indiana, but then I swooped in and stole him.
You hate to see that happen.
Unless you're the guy stealing.
Yes. So this season, Tuma is averaging 25.3 points per game, 6.4 well, that's the typical shooting guard stat line already forming out in front of my eyes. 6.4 rebounds per game, 2.9 assists per game, 1.6 steals, and a true shooting percent of 59.4, so already reaching that inside scorer menace territory where only typically centers reside. Tuma, unlike Doc, doesn't have the 3-point shot in his arsenal quite yet, but is a gifted scorer. So
he takes a lot of free throws there for, like, what? How many free throws does he average per game?
12.6.
Yeah, that's a good amount of free throws.
That's a good amount to be missing. So instead of 85 inside, what if he had 80 free throws? Imagine.
Yeah, that's what we're working on right now.
Imagine the championship potential in Notre Dame. Right now it's under a rock, and the rock says free throws. But yes, the comparison we came to was a bit of an icky one, because all the shooting guards actually have 3-point shooting. Well, not all of them, but like
a lot of them.
A lot of the ones that with a quick 5, 6, 7 minute research came to mind. But we're gonna go with another athletic shooting guard scorer, also 6'5", drafted to Mercer Island. Disclaimer, I don't know if he was drafted to Mercer Island or traded after he was drafted somewhere else. But Ben Waters started out his career in Mercer Island. 39.5 minutes per game, good for 22.4 points per game with that time, 4.4 rebounds, 6.5 assists per game, so a lot of the playmaking duties on him as well. 2.1 steals and 0.2 blocks. Add the 3-point shooting to this as I'm reading it, and I can't believe how bad of a comparison this is. But yeah, you can go ahead and talk about your experiences with your boy. Well, first off,
I just want to, like, one more comparison that I also think fits well is another person who was drafted last season, I guess in the season 40 draft. Leonard Church.
Yes.
He also didn't really shoot the ball much in college, but he was great at scoring inside and hitting his free throws. And yeah, I think they have a similar play style.
Would Robotastic have another comparison, or do you mostly agree with the ones mentioned?
Yeah, I mostly agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go and find Leonard Church's current numbers for the rookie year. Most of you know him from last season's heroics in where, Duke University.
Yeah.
Leonard L. Church currently plays for the
Montreal.
This is too much
Monarchs.
Akande. Yeah. Montreal Monarchs, 6'7" shooting guard slash small forward. Would care to mention that too much Akande is actually a shooting guard slash point guard. So Leonard L. Church currently actually has a 3-point shot in his arsenal.
Yeah, but he got that in the offseason.
Yes. In his first year in the SBA, is currently averaging 26 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.9 steals. His numbers might be a tad bit inflated due to the fact that he's sort of the most gifted scorer.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's like Al-Masri, but Oh, the other Greek bro, Ephodos is also there. So
Exactly.
maybe Church is sort of in contention for the most gifted scorer on the Monarchs roster, but yes, yes. Too much Akande was the player, and Robotastic gladly agreed to both Leonard Church and Ben Waters. No more. Well, I like Waters, but I think he's inactive or something. I'm not quite sure. With all that in, I guess it's all 5 players. Where do you think Tuma will be drafted in? Somewhere around what number? We talked
I don't know, I'd say
quite a bit
12 to
about
15 range.
yeah. We talked quite a bit about Clyde Alexander's draft prospects, so we don't need to go there.
He's
But
also for sure a top 5 player. I'm saying he'll probably go top 3 just because he's a recreate. He gets his carryover TP. You get an active person out in dock. He's in the mod, so he's probably gonna stick around. So those are good things to know.
Yeah, he should be by all accounts, be the number 2 highest TP draftee in the upcoming draft with carryover, trailing behind Evans's Ragnar Lesnar. I don't know where this 29 TP gap currently has built from, but it's there. And by performance numbers, Louisville Cardinals' Ragnar Lesnar probably shares a lot of the offensive load with other players, but Hercules Hoyle is by numbers looking like the standout draftee from this season's prospects. Has quieted down a bit with a lot of fouls, but just recently was the highest scorer in the NCAA this year. Who do you think will win now that we're on that question? One cool down question before we go. Who do you think will win the scoring title in this year's NCAA?
Well, so as of right now, it's looking like it's been a 2-man race really between Nemias Jr. and Hercules. I think Nemias Jr. will hold on to it just because he has less help around him. But yeah, could go either way.
I think Hercules Hoyle pushes in front because as the TPE difference is just huge.
Yeah, and Hercules can afford to put 15 or 20 TP from now on to fouling to make sure he gets a bit more minutes per game than 30 flat compared to Nemias's 35.6. So if you're only trailing by 0.8 points per game and you play 5 minutes less, you can pretty much do the math. If you increase your fouling, then you're gonna like blow past Nemius Jr. But I wouldn't. Maybe if there are some more of those 50-point games by Shavon Williams, he can still get right up there. But it's unlikely as he's
This dude
stuck
scored
at
60 in
199.
the sim today.
Which?
Can your Nate is his username.
Oh, David Barlow.
Yeah, exactly.
60.
For what, Virginia? Yeah, he's a shooting guard
60.
too. So that was crazy.
Did they even win?
No.
That's the Robotastic special. Did they win or no?
Yeah, they won. They won by like
Alright.
20.
Alright. You know,
It was against Florida, I believe.
yeah. You know that when you like do a lot of sim presenting, then if someone else does the sim presenting, you might not even look at it because
Yeah, usually if it's not me presenting the sim, I look at my teams and just scroll through them.
yeah, afterwards, like if once it's completed, you might look, but
Yeah.
blah. Today you added me, and I was like, did someone sign my filler, or why is that like? But it was because the boys were missing some shots again, as they do.
Yeah, that was your guys' 50-point game.
Yeah. 50 points as a team. Not my boys' 50-point game as like
Every
if,
one of them had 50.
yeah, as if someone even had 50. No, all of them combined had barely 50. So David Barlow by himself is better than the Gonzaga Bulldogs, at least in the
In that one game.
NCAA Sim 5 specific game. Yes, but all right. We can talk about our teams more. Well, we talked about two of your players, but we can talk about our teams more in the next episode of 5 of the Week, where we try to get a hold of the Atlanta Vipers general. Well, no. The Las Vegas Jokers general man. Well, that's me. For those who don't know, that's actually Danger Golden, former friend of the show. And then finally, we might try to get a hold of the Oklahoma State University athletic director. Be on the lookout. I hope this will become a running joke, this promise of
Getting the one show.
yeah. Remind me in 2 seasons when he might not even be the athletic director. I suppose he will, but you know, can never tell. Alright, that's everything for I was going to say season 21 of 5 of the Week. That's a lot of 5 of the Week. A big thank you for Robotastic for eating cereal.
Not cereal. I could send a picture, but not cereal.
Oh yeah, that one time you were eating noodles, like right in the podcast.
Oh yeah, I'm eating noodles again.
I was about to say, are you eating again?
It's different. It's different.
How
Okay.
are noodles different from cereal? I don't understand.
One of them is like a dust. It's like you don't know. It's not good, and the other one is very good. That's the difference.
Alright. I'll go Google that later. And a big thank you again to a Cryptic Pancake.
My pleasure.
That sounded so like official, like statesman. My pleasure.
Thank you for having me on this podcast.
Thank you, sir.
Very
May I have
enjoyed
another?
My time here.
Yes, alright. Thank you, everyone. We'll catch you again next time. Bye.